Hi, I'm Jason Chen with The Art of Ass Kicking, and this is a video about my best practices for making things happen. I work with a coworker named Sarah Allen who had these little rules for working life, and I decided to make my own set of best practices. I have 17 of them on my site. One of my readers asked me to elaborate a little bit in a short video about some of those best practices, so I've picked my 5 favorites, and I'm going to talk to you about them right now. The first one, keep the promises that you make to yourself. We make a lot of promises at work, to our family, to our friends, but the most important promises that we make are the ones to ourselves. When we say, today I'm not going to have that soda at lunch, or I'm going to do that workout at the end of the day, or I'm not going to check email before I finish this task. But we break them all the time, and we seem to think that that's okay. But in fact, those promises that we make to ourselves are the most important ones. If we can't honor the promises we make to ourselves, how can we possibly make real promises to our children or to our customers? These personal promises have to come first. Second rule, or best practice. Talk to people when you find them behaving in ways that are going to hurt the shared goals that you have together, right? That's a sort of long way of saying call people out when they're doing something that's ineffective or detrimental. But it needs to be from a place of respect, of recognizing that they may not be aware that their behavior is not helping. Maybe they have another reason for doing it that you don't understand, but it's important to start that conversation saying, hey, I've noticed that when we're in client meetings, you'll interrupt the client when I think that they still have more things to say, and I think that's going to make it hard for us to win this deal, right? That is maybe a very uncomfortable sentence to make, especially if it's to your boss, but if they are good at what they do, they will respect that you have come up to them and said this, right? And this goes for relationships, this goes for your work, for any interaction that you have. If you're going to work with someone for a long period of time, you need to bring those things up because it's the only way that they're going to change. They're not going to change on their own. Third thing, and it's related, do your absolute best to understand where other people are coming from. We people tend to have 2 problems. Our first problem is that we have a hard time getting inside the head of somebody else. We have a hard time getting inside the head of our customers. We have a hard time getting in the head of our spouse, of our partners. And the second problem that we have is that we actually think we're good at it. And so that's a 2-part problem which compounds. And customer development has shown to be a much better way of creating startups, creating products that people want, because we listen to those customers, those prospective customers, really hear what their needs are, really hear what their problems are. But that goes for internal stakeholders at your company, for your boss, for anyone that you work with, especially people that you disagree with. Really take the effort to not just say they're crazy or they're just, irresponsible or whatever, or lazy, but try to understand where they're coming from. So the number 4 best practice that I've got, if you are hitting 100% of your goals, you are not thinking big enough. For about the last 3-4 years, I've been setting goals, annual goals from the beginning of the year for the end of the year, right? So I'll start in January 1 and say, here's what I want to achieve by the end in December 31st. And I set those goals to be challenging enough that I'm estimating I will hit about 50% of those goals. Now that might seem like a fairly discouraging number. Oh, 50% is like failing in school. But life is not the same as a test. When you set goals that are really big, even if you don't achieve them, you have to take on new activities, you have to learn new things, you have to meet new people, and you transform yourself in ways that even if you don't achieve the goal, you are much further along than if you had set a very small, incremental, not that scary goal that you knew you could hit. And I'm not saying that if you're hitting 0%, that's obviously too low, but if you're hitting 100%, you need to rethink how big your goals really are. And now the 5th and final best practice, seize special opportunities. Most of the time when you're working or you're going about your life, new things will come up here and there, and you have to balance those, and you have to weigh those new opportunities against what you're doing and say, you know what, oftentimes I don't have the bandwidth to take on this new commitment or this new opportunity. Once in a while you take on some small commitment opportunities. But once in a while, for me, it was having the chance to start a company and get funded by Y Combinator, and now with the Presidential Innovation Fellowship. Those were two opportunities that, when they became realized, you drop everything. You drop everything that you're doing. I dropped everything that I was doing, and I made sure that I got on top of this opportunity and made it happen and made the most of it. Because some of those opportunities are what's going to transform your career, what's going to transform your life. So when they don't come very often, but when they do, fucking seize them. So that's it. These are the 5 favorite best practices that I've written. You can check the whole 17 list out at jasonshen.com, and I'll see you later.